Yes, y'all, this is Sequence, coming your way with a little something to say about the TV series From. I'm going to give a synopsis of the show and throw a few theories around while breaking down some of the esoteric messages along the way. So if you're a fan of the show, tap that thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications for when I drop another video. Share this video so that we can keep the conversation going. I'd like to take this time to welcome everybody to this channel. This is the first installment of many to come, so let's get right into this. Now, if you've watched the show, you know that From is about a mysterious town, place, or realm, if you will, that seems to trap anyone who enters. So you have people traveling, some of them by themselves, some with family or friends, and now we see that it could be a bus full of strangers. Let's note that some of the passengers have ties in some way or another to people that are already in this town. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So what happens is the people that are traveling, they could be traveling from many different places. And this is why I think the show is actually called From, because most of these people are from different places. Some of them were driving in New York. Some of them were in Virginia, in Texas, in California, in Florida, all over the continental United States. And that's a big key here. I think that something is up with this only happening in the United States. There's got to be something with that. I think that the people may be dealing with an ancient Native American deity, and the travelers may be being brought there by some ancestral connection to previous worshipers of this deity. So we have two supernatural angles to this equation. We have the monsters, who are obviously against the residents of the town. Also, we have another supernatural aspect to the equation, which is the boy in white. We also have something or someone is trying to send messages to several of the residents in the town. And then, last but not least, definitely not least, we have the talismans that pretty much protect the homes and protect, now we know, any structure that is within the town or even within the woods itself. So let's talk about the talismans and how they may support the ancient deity theory. So when we look at the talismans, we see that they are inscribed with people sitting Indian style, okay, with their legs crossed. And these are their knees and these are the feet, and their arms are up. And they seem to be praying to something or worshiping something. And you also see the sun and the moon there. I think that it's actually one person and their reflection is on the water, but that's neither here nor there. Now, when we examine the F symbols that are around that inscription, we can bring those F symbols together and they actually make a spider web. Now, we know that there are several different references to spiders and spider webs in the show itself. Boyd was bit by the spiders. Whatever dragged them through the forest in the tent took them to a spot in the forest where there were spider webs all over the trees, where Boyd actually saw a vision of his wife. Now, the Spider Woman, or the grandmother spider, appears in many Native American mythologies. The Spider Woman's themes are magical charms and growth. Her symbols are spiders and woven items. Now, let's not forget that for Fatima's year anniversary of being in this town, Donna gave her a dream catcher, which is a Native American amulet that is used to ward off bad dreams and evil spirits. Donna even references this when she gives her the gift. The whole idea of the dream catcher itself is directly connected to the Spider Woman in Native American mythology. The legends of the grandmother spider is a part of the creation mythology for several southwestern tribes. Moreover, it is said that she created the sun and the moon, and we see the sun and the moon on the talisman as well. So who has given these talismans and left them in the forest like that for Boyd to find, or whoever to find? Let me make a sidebar note real quick. To Boyd's nickname given to him in the military was Mr. Fish and Loaves, which is an obvious Jesus reference. Now, I definitely want to mention something about the spiders that may be significant. It might be insignificant. Only time will tell. But there was a scene on episode 5 of season 1, around the 15-minute mark. There's a scene where Sarah is leaving the clinic and she's standing there talking to Christy, and her brother is coming. Sarah's brother is coming up from behind to greet her. And I know you guys remember that she didn't want to speak to her brother and everything, and she asked her if she was okay. But if you look right here, when she's asking her, is she okay, you can see a spider web behind Sarah. And it's funny that, typically in TV shows, when something like that happens, they remove it. They will digitally remove it and get it out the way because they see it as some sort of blemish. But as she walks away, she literally walked right through this spider web. I don't know if they left it in there because it was just a happy accident and they just wanted to leave it in there. But I don't know. It could be significant. It might not be significant. We will find out if this thing has more to do with spiders. I mean, we already know that it does have something to do with spiders. And this particular scene was before her and Boyd went to the woods. Now, since we're talking about them going to the woods, I do want to point out that whatever took them through the woods had to be something different from the actual monsters that we've seen. And it probably had to be much bigger. And I also want to point out that on that naked couples tapestry, it's also in the beginning credits, or the beginning of the show, the intro, there's a naked couple standing there. And if you look above them to the right, you will see that there is another monster there. And that monster is like a big monster. It kind of looks like a shark or a giant worm, but it also kind of looks like those finger puppets that Ethan and Julie were playing with, telling the stories with. And whatever that big creature is that dragged them through the woods definitely took them to spider webs. And what creature would be going to a bunch of spider webs other than a big spider? Now, whatever dragged them there wanted Boyd to get bitten by the spiders, because that's why it showed him the vision of his wife that made him go through the webs and get bit by the spiders. And it had him out there doing the Macarena, trying to get the spiders off of him. Now, since we're talking about animals, I want to make a quick point about the crows. The crows were very suspicious from the very beginning. When the Matthews RV came up to the tree, they got out and they wanted to investigate why was this big tree in the road, and was there any way, what could we do? So they all got out, and I'm sure everybody wanted to stretch their legs. And little Ethan, he said, "Daddy, put me on the tree." And so right when he put him on the tree, that's when the crows came out and they gave a distinctive warning call. And that is pretty much the way that you can actually tell ravens and crows apart, is because crows call. And that's what those birds were doing. Those were not ravens. So Ethan's mother was wrong about them possibly being ravens. Those were crows. And if you do a little research, go look on YouTube and you can find the distinctive differences between crows and ravens. And you can also find the very first video that I found actually played a very similar sound to the crows that we see at the tree in From. And the video that I was watching actually stated that that is a warning call. Get out of here. We don't want you here. We don't want you near here. And that's strange because I was wondering, did the people ever see the tree again? It seems to me that when you approach the tree's put there so you'll turn around and go back into the town, and then that's when you get stuck. But the funny thing was the crows came out and they were giving a warning crow. And I think that there's something past the tree. I think that there's something past the tree that the crows were keeping them away from. But that's all I wanted to say about that. Since we were talking about animals, talking about the spiders, I wanted to make the connection with the crows. Oh, before I forget, Ethan is the boy who's talking about this story about the Fromily. Now, I do want to point out this could be insignificant or it could be significant. But if you look at the word Fromily, it says crowmen. So that might actually be significant. I don't know. It could have something to do with it. Who knows? Time will tell. But there is one thing that I do know. In the beginning of the intro, there is a boy or a man standing there in white. And when you look at his mouth is a crow. Because right after they show you the crows, and it is in the exact shape of whatever is over his mouth. Moving right along, I definitely want to talk about the possibility of ancestral ties to worshipers of this spider deity or this Native American or ancient deity. And how those people are getting to this town and why they're being selected. I think it is due to their bloodline. And it has something to do with who they are, actually. If we look and we see that there is some ancestral ties there with the Matthews family, for sure. Tabitha in the storage room finds a bracelet that she fashioned from Jim's father's bootlaces. Now, who keeps bootlaces? Well, somebody might keep bootlaces if they were in the service. It could have been a family heirloom that was passed down and he was in love with her. He gave it to her. She made him a bracelet, but it's definitely the bracelet that he lost when they were at the hospital giving birth to Julie. So that means that it was a long time ago, at least 17 years since they lost that bracelet, and it ends up in this obscure town. Will the show revisit the idea of the bracelet? Will we find out more about the bracelet? We do know that the bracelet is connected to someone who is not in the town, which is Jim's father. And they lost that bracelet quite some time ago. The show does make mention that the girl is 17 years old. And so if they lost it at the hospital during giving birth to her, then that means they lost that bracelet 17 years ago and it pops up here in this town. Now, speaking on the connections with the people that arrived on the bus, maybe there's some other connections with other people on the bus that we're not aware of yet, but for sure we know that the Marielle and Christy connection is there. And we also know about the Brian Kelly connection with Boyd. And those are just a few connections that I came up with just for this video here. There's more to come. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Also comment so we can keep the conversation going. So that concludes our video for today. I hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.